Hello and welcome again to another episode of Battle Ready. And 4th edition is upon us, at least as this goes up. When recording it, we're just not quite there yet, but
we're like
when this comes up.
Right, about to jump.
And so for somebody entering the game, and for veteran players alike, how many factions are there in the game, Drake?
27?
It's like 24, 25, depending on how you count them. And so the question I have is, that's a lot.
That's quite a few.
That is quite a few factions.
We own most of them.
I don't think we do. I think we are less than half, so I don't think we can say we own most. But we own many. We own many of those factions. And the question then is that good?
Yes.
Is that good for the game? All right, Drake, why is it good for the game?
It lets there be more things that you would want. You want sea elves? You can get sea elves. You want murder elves? There's murder elves. I don't know why I'm staying in elves.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think if you want to play Warhammer, it makes it easy to find something that you like. If you want something that's gleaming and beautiful and has a lot of synergies that you can play around with and buffs and stuff like that.
Stormcast?
I was thinking Lumineth, right? If you want something that's just going to be big and walk forward and smash, you've got Iron Jaws. Pretty much.
Basically all of destruction.
So it's like no matter what play style you want, there's something there that can meet it probably. And there's also something that probably
appeals.
Will catch your imagination lore-wise, right? Maybe you don't think that elves are cool. You're like,
they're just tall humans.
Dumb. But then you see the Nurgle stuff and you're like, oh man, these plague warriors filled with disease, that's really cool. And so it gives you a lot of different hooks to get into the game. So that anybody, well, almost anybody, if you're interested in wargaming at all, there's probably some faction that you think, yeah, that's pretty cool.
You want even something remotely sci-fi? You have Caradron.
Right? Yeah. If the sort of sky pirate steampunk-ish thing speaks to you, if you like the guns, but you want something a little more grounded, well, there's Cities of Sigmar, right? Mm-hmm. So it feels like there's a lot of options. Why else is it good?
I would say it lets Games Workshop sort of spread out and do what they want in more areas.
True. I think that's also a good reason that they have Warcry and Underworlds.
They just do what they want.
Yeah, especially Underworld. A lot of times they create an Underworld warband, and they're like, oh, these ones were really popular. Maybe the next time we make like the Snarlfang, Rip of Snarlfang was real popular. So what do they do when they did their Gloomspite? They came out with the Snarlfang unit. So it's like a good little testing ground to then see what's going to be good in the good game, right?
In the real game.
And the AoS is the real game.
All those others are precursors.
But it is sort of cool. And they did it recently too with the Fire Slayers, where they came out with that. I think it's a Warcry unit, but they have a little bit more clothing on, so they don't look like big babies wearing diapers. And they were painted a little bit different, so it wasn't just straight red hair. It looked like burned, right? There was black and red in it. And that a lot of people, myself included, looked at those and thought, oh, those Fire Slayers are sort of cool looking. Those ones, it's a lot of Fire Slayers player, but compared to the other ones, it's like, oh, that's sort of cool. Yep. So maybe they'll take that and say, oh, when we come out with our Fire Slayers Wave 2, which Fire Slayers desperately needs, maybe they'll lean a little bit more into that aesthetic. So you'll see, because that was more popular. And of course, Games Workshop, what do they want to do?
Money!
They want to sell models. That's how they make their money. And they are all about that money. So
all their eyes are like money signs.
Exactly, but they would love that. So I can see that. I think that is also good because if all you had was one elf army and one dwarf army, and then everything had to sort of align with that aesthetic, then there's just not enough room for them there's not as much room for them to explore, right? So I think that's true too. So more armies gives the artists, gives the concept people more room to explore and find the things that people are going to say, oh yeah, that is cool, right? Yeah, I think that's a good idea. What else is it good? That's it? Those are the 2 good points?
That's what I've thought of so far. I'm thinking of other
Well,
things.
let me talk about a few negative points here because I actually have some reservations because AoS already has more factions than 40K.
Woohoo! We're better then.
Well, there's more factions. And I think that there are some drawbacks. So let's talk about some of the You don't think there's any drawbacks?
No, there's no drawbacks. More is better.
Let's talk about some of the drawbacks, and then we can sort of decide if the drawbacks are worth it. All right, drawback number 1. Let's say that you play an army. Name an army.
Iron Jaws.
Okay, you play Iron Jaws, right? And that's all you play because Games Workshop's expensive, and you don't have the money to buy multiple armies and do all that sort of stuff.
He does.
No, well, we have multiple. Let's just put it that way. But you have one army, and you just build and you add to it. You build and you add to it, and then your army starts off with like, if you're Iron Jaws, that's a good example. When they came out, they had like
5 units.
6 units. Yeah, and I mean not a lot. And then they were just there for years until they got right at the end of 3.0. They got a second wave.
They got
So
1, 2,
for
3,
close
4,
to 8 years.
5, 6. They got 6 new units and 1 refresh.
Yeah. So close to 8 years, you didn't get anything new. Not one new thing in your army, right? And partly that's because they had to introduce this faction. They had to introduce the Lumineth and the Sons of Behemoth. Oh, and then they had to refresh Legions of Nagash and turn it into Soulblight Gravelords. Oh, and then they had to go over here. So they had to take time and attention to 20-something other factions. And
Your faction gets left in the dust.
well, they can't do them all, right? Even though they have a bunch of factories, and even though they're a big company and they put out a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff.
Most of their attention is focused on 40K.
It's still, well, yeah, they have 40K. They've got Necromunda. They got all the side games, right?
Yep.
That they use their factories for that too. But they're not infinite, right? They have finite resources, and so that means you have to spread them out over the AoS factions. The AoS get this much, and then you have to spread that out over 24 factions. So in an addition, so let's say
does gain like this much.
So let's say 3rd edition, which I thought had a lot of expansions. Who got refreshed, or who got big model expansions? Seraphon. Okay, so they introduced Crew Boys, Seraphon, cities, slaves,
and flesh eaters.
And flesh eaters. Yeah.
So 5 factions.
So 5.
And then 6
now,
Iron Jaws. At the end.
So Iron Jaws. Yeah, I guess we could throw Iron Jaws in there.
They count.
I guess we throw them in there.
Extra pinky.
Extra pinky 6. It's the 6-fingered man. So I think that means you're going to be on that rotation. And in 2nd edition, we didn't have that many refreshes, but we did have a couple of new armies, right? If you're on that rotation, that means it's going to be a long time in between waves, right? In between refreshes. If you're still playing with resin, if you were still playing with a bunch of resin models in AoS 1 when it came up, and you bought yourself a Slaughter Master, you still have that same Slaughter Master. We're 9 years into this thing. Ogres still have a Slaughter Master that's resin, and a Butcher that's resin. It's like, and the Man-Eaters that are still resin, but I mean, there's still stuff out there.
Are
So that's one bad thing. Having that many factions means if you really are into one, which is good because there's a lot, so you can find one that you're into. Oh, man, you've got a long time. You're going to get something cool, and then you've got a long time to wait before your next wave comes through, right? And sometimes something like Iron Jaws is a good example where there was obvious needs. They had things that were like Big Pig filled a big need, right?
Big Pig need.
A couple of those heroes filled a need. They really needed a change from the old Ard Boys to something new, right?
The old Ard Boys are so bad compared to the new ones.
Oh yeah, compared to the new ones just blow them out of the water. But it's like, okay, so they had to wait for, like I said, about 8 years before they got any of that. That's a long time.
That is quite a while.
That would be like if Iron Jaws came out now, you wouldn't even see the second wave until you had graduated high school. Right? That's a long time. So I think that's a negative.
Until I was an adult.
Literally. Yeah. Yep. So I think that is a negative. The other negative is I think that having that many factions means things are more difficult to balance, right? Especially when you add allies in, because you're like, okay, this book is totally balanced, it's great. Oh, but this guy right here happens to be even better when he's taken as an ally in some other army. And so now we've got to worry about that and we'll nerf him or whatever. But when you have 24, 25 factions,
Just have it so
it's
you
hard
don't
to keep.
ally in.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's sort of what they're doing with 4th. Our allies are basically gone.
The only thing you would have is regiments.
Yeah, they're doing it as regiments only.
Or regiments
but you can't
of
just
renown.
go in and steal somebody out.
That's what I mean is regiments of renown.
Yep.
I think you can have other. I think regiments of renown come from other armies.
Yes, they do.
That's the only way you can get allies. And so now they're like, okay, now that we've knocked it down to a couple of regiments of renown, we can fix this.
And then also with regard to balancing, it's not just balancing in sort of a meta tournament sense, but let's say that, not every, I think they've done a good job with 4th edition.
Oh, yeah.
But it's not going to be 100% success, right? There's going to be a couple of units that didn't get addressed right or aren't sort of fulfilling their purpose. But how many units are there in the game?
Hundreds.
A gajillion. And so when they look at it, how long is it going to be before they get around to that unit to fix it? It's a long time, right? You might be waiting for a couple of these battle scrolls to come out before your unit finally is fixed and playable again. And that's the only reason it takes them so long, or one of the reasons it takes them so long, is because there's so many to go through, right?
Oh, yeah.
So having that many factions means that fine-tuning them
is very difficult.
It's gonna take longer, and that means you're playing for longer with units that
are pretty dinky.
Aren't the best.
What's reason number 2? I still think
the balancing one.
Oh, that was 2.
Yeah.
Oh well, yeah. No, they're. No.
Those are both good, worthwhile.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Okay. So
also, I have a third reason.
Oh, what's your third reason?
You get super cool models.
Yeah, I think that sort of goes in with the aesthetic that it gives them more opportunities to find stuff that's cool for you. Right?
More bigger models.
Maybe. Yeah, okay, I guess every faction gets a big model, pretty much.
Yeah. You have to count Nagash for like every death faction, basically.
Well, yeah, but you also have Catacross, right? And you also have the Mortars, right? You also have Ushran.
Catacross is a Mortar.
I think everybody has, with the possible exception of Night Hunt, everybody has, although they have the Black Coach, which is amazing.
Snack Coach!
So, yeah, I don't know. I feel like, all right, with those 2 pluses and minuses, I do feel like having as many as we have probably is a net positive. I don't think I'm quite as confident as you are.
What if we had one more?
Well, that's what's going to be my next question. How many more do you think that the game can reasonably support?
I think it could reasonably support, I think at least 30.
Wow.
Right around there. I think we could fit in 5 more factions.
That's
if they figured out what on earth they're going to be.
Yeah, that's pretty optimistic, actually.
I think they could fit 30.
I feel like we are at or very near the cap. I feel like we're at the cap. So I feel like what they're going to do, or what they should do, for the health of the game, what they should do is say, all right, we're going to introduce Chaos Dwarves. That means beasts have to go. All right, in 5th edition, we're going to introduce elementals as an army.
Silent people.
Silent people.
Silent people 4th.
We're going to introduce Malarian elves, right?
4th.
In 5th.
No.
Right? We're going to introduce Malarian elves, and therefore, you know what? Fire Slayers never sold great.
No! The baby dwarves.
The baby dwarves. So I feel like we're if we're not at the cap now, we're very close to it.
I think in 4th edition, we could easily fit, not easily, but I think we could fit 1, maybe 2 factions. And those 2 factions would be Chaos Dwarves and Silent People. I want to see the bugs.
I don't think Silent People are coming. I think Silent People would be cool.
I
don't think they're coming. Chaos Dwarves have been strongly hinted at.
Especially with horns.
In fact, in the maps in the 4th edition rulebook, it's like Fire Slayer Stronghold, City of Sigmar, and one of the things is Chaos Dwarf Magma Hold or whatever it's called. So they're on the map. So that means they're a real force.
They're coming.
They're coming.
That's probably gonna be the first.
Yeah, I think Chaos Dwarves are coming.
I wonder if they get added to slaves.
No, I think they'll be separate. Slaves already probably need some weeding out. I think when the Slaves Battle Tome comes out, they're gonna chop several different kinds of units.
What would they chop?
That's a good question. I don't know. The Slaves Battle Tome
There's
is
a couple
huge.
of monsters they could chop. They've already chopped most of the
Forge World stuff's gone.
Wait, Forge World made AoS models?
Oh yeah.
I thought they were strictly 40k.
No, they did both.
What else did they do? I mean, most of the monsters were dead.
Yeah. Well, I don't know all of them, but they made a bunch.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I think like I said, I think we're pretty close to the cap.
Yeah.
So
maybe
it'll be interesting to see, because if they introduce more stuff, they're certainly good to that, right? More people will see it and think it's awesome. We get more awesome models. We can play around with it, maybe even different or unique play styles. But it does make me, because I see how long it takes them now to create new stuff, new models, and how long it takes them now to get around to balancing everything. And I'm not super confident that adding more into that is going to make it better. In fact, I feel like every army you add now is going to make things significantly worse.
maybe they would add silent people to Sylvaneth.
Maybe. But any final thoughts on the number of factions in AoS?
I think we got it.
All right. Let us know in the comments below what you think. Do you think we should have more, or do you think it needs to be a one in, one out policy where if you're going to bring something in, somebody else has to leave?
Not the baby dwarves.
This has been another episode of Battle Ready.
Ready for 4th, please.
Thanks so much for watching.